Hi, and welcome back to InstaVision. I'm Glenn Reynolds. Well, for the last couple of years, we've been hearing a lot about a war on women, but on college campuses today, it looks a lot like there's a war on men. Here to talk about it with us is Ashe Schow. She's a commentary writer for the Washington Examiner, and she's been all over this topic. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you've been covering this issue pretty intensely. Is there actually some kind of new outbreak of rape on campuses? Is it worse than it used to be?
Well, if you were to believe the media reports, yes, but national crime statistics, rape has actually been on the decline. We're at the lowest level since about 1984, down from its peak in the early 1990s, which is really when all of this campus rape situations started. You know, all these women were coming forward saying that colleges weren't accurately or adequately handling their rape reports, and now it's led to this.
So they talk about sexual assault, and the way they talk about it, most people think that that means rape. But sexual assault, as they use it for these statistics, actually includes a lot of stuff, doesn't it? So when they say 1 in 5 college women will be sexually assaulted, they're including everything from full-on rape to being groped or an unwanted kiss.
Yes, they've broadened the definition so far as to almost make any kind of romantic activity into potential sexual assault fodder. I mean, there are men who are getting accused of sexual assault. I know of one man that I should be speaking to soon who was actually convicted just because he kissed a girl. It went no further than that. And yet he's being, railroaded by the system into being accused of sexual assault. You've got other cases where, women accuse the man months after the incident, and it's just become, in California they have that bill where there's affirmative consent, where you have to give pretty much verbal consent. They say it could be anything, but consent ongoing throughout. And by these standards, by these definitions, I mean, I could put pretty much every guy I've ever dated into jail.
Well, and vice versa, too, right? In fact, I would be willing to guess that women generally feel freer to touch or to kiss men without explicit permission. So that if 1 in 5 women has been sexually assaulted that way, it's probably 2 or 3 in 5 men over the course of their college career. And I wonder when men are going to start figuring out that if you got an ugly breakup, you want to get back at your ex-girlfriend, charge her with rape.
That seems to be where this might actually be going. I mean, and not only just to get back at women, but just as, a preemptive strike with if you are drunk and you hook up with someone at a party, the possibility that they wake up the next morning and accuse you of sexual assault or rape seems to be increasing. So maybe to combat that, we might, unfortunately, see a lot of men, preemptively striking and making the first move in order to make the accusation. Now, I seriously doubt that they would be taken seriously by the campuses, but that could be where we're headed.
Well, actually, that's a Title IX violation, right? If you take rape complaints or sexual assault complaints from men less seriously than sexual assault complaints from women, I mean, that's a clear discriminatory behavior, and I think would open them up to a lot more lawsuits. So tell us how some of this works. Like Ohio State has a rule where if you both consent to sex, but you don't agree on the reason why you're having sex, that's no good, right?
It makes no sense. I mean, if you both consent, should it really matter whether he consents because he just wants sex or she consents because she loves him? I mean, should that really matter? And how is OSU going to be able to determine that they had differing levels of different beliefs or why they were going into it or that they were different in any way? I mean, outside of videotaping a sexual encounter, there's just no way to prove that things went down the way that he said or she said. And that's what's the problem with, most of these cases at this point.
Well, and when you get to the different reasons, even a videotape doesn't help, right? Because it doesn't show what's inside somebody's head. So he thinks she just wants to have sex, and in fact, she hopes to lure him into a relationship. She's manipulating him. So basically, she's raping him. Stop raping people.
Yeah. Seriously.
So there's legislation in front of Congress now to make this worse, basically, to take things further. Tell us a little about how that works.
Well, the main bill that was introduced by 8 different senators, including several Republicans like Marco Rubio and Kelly Ayotte and Chuck Grassley, it's called the Campus Accountability and Safety Act, and it basically, it's a survey. They want colleges to say how many rapes have been reported, sexual assaults have been reported, how many cases ended up going into a hearing, how many men were found guilty, how many men were found not guilty, you know, what were the outcomes of all of these things, stuff like that. They also want a survey of students so that students can tell you how they feel about how their cases were handled or what's going on campus. And then beyond that, these bills just completely go and make the victims, remember, victims, the accusers feel completely at ease and completely take all due process rights away from the accused. They have, support systems set up for the accusers where their hands are held through the process, which is good, right? I mean, we want that, but the accused also needs something like that. The accused needs to be able to defend themselves, especially when we're getting all these reports that they're drunken hookups that are now become instances of sexual assault.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Apparently women can do anything. Women can serve in combat. Women are just as good as men. But if a woman has one glass of wine, she's absolutely incapable of making any kind of judgment. Whereas a man apparently can be so drunk he's passing out and still be completely morally responsible. It seems a bit sexist. Now, you asked the sponsors of this bill what they thought about due process for the accused. And what did you hear back from them?
Well, I didn't hear back from all of them. I did hear back from a couple of them, and the most telling was Marco Rubio's spokesman, who just simply said this bill does not address that. And you think about it. Well, how did you not think about this? And it's because of this kind of hysteria that's come up, where women are now, or the accusers are now, just their word is taken at face value, and the accused has to pretty much figure out a way to defend themselves, and maybe they do, and maybe that evidence, maybe the witnesses they call forward aren't allowed to speak, isn't allowed to be presented. So there's really no way for them to defend themselves, and this bill basically codifies that into law.
Yeah, and it goes even beyond that, because I actually, somebody commented on my blog, their son had gone for his freshman orientation, and his report of the message they got from the university was, "You're all rapists and we've got our eye on you." And again, I want to stress, if you tell male students, "We presume that you're rapists," that is a Title IX violation all by itself. These people are breaking the law all the time. And, the good news for me is in my day job, I'm a law professor. I'm in the business of selling law degrees. And this is going to make a lot of lawyers rich. So that's the good news. Now, one question that's come up to me, also because I'm an academic kind of guy, is why are universities concerned that all this talk about rape will hurt enrollment by women, and that this inquisition will hurt enrollment by men? I mean, Iowa Hawk was putting on Twitter, universities, according to their administrators, are cesspits of racism and rape that everyone should attend.
Yes, this 1 in 5 statistic that's being thrown out there, you're not hearing the statistics of the population at large. Statistically, women are no more likely to get raped on college campuses than they are in not attending college. But you're putting this out there and you're spreading it everywhere. You even have the White House saying it, the CDC saying it, the National Institute for Justice saying this, saying that basically, you have a really good chance of getting raped. If you go out to a party with 4 of your best friends, one of you might end up getting raped. And how can they not think that that's going to hurt enrollment? I mean, and then now we're hearing all the cases of the men coming back and suing. So, I mean, how can that not hurt enrollment? Women not wanting to go to college because they're afraid they're going to get raped, and men not wanting to go to these colleges because they're afraid they're going to get accused of rape and have their lives ruined.
Yeah, it's a bad sales pitch for something that basically carries a six-figure price tag. Borrow a lot of money, go deep in debt, and get raped or called a rapist, whatever. Who could turn down a deal like that? Well, what's next?
Well, now that Congress is back from August recess and they have to make some political points for the election, they might try to bring up this campus accountability and sexual assault bill. Now, they do leave in about a week to go home and campaign, and we might see it in the lame duck session. That's that, and let's see about, as far as activists go, if they succeed in getting all of these reforms through to college campuses. If it's so good for college, how is it not good for the population at large? We could be seeing these kind of standards expanded.
Well, that's a cheerful note. Well, people should keep an eye on your columns in the Washington Examiner. You've really owned this subject through just constant, diligent work, and that's a good place to look. And we'll be covering it here from time to time. But thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for all of you joining us as well. We'll be back soon with more InstaVision. But in the meantime, a word from our sponsor, Reynolds Online University, the one where you don't get raped. An important message from Reynolds Online University. Are you the parent of a college-bound daughter? Are you worried that she'll be raped in college? You should be. Here's Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
If you are a young woman who attends college today, you are more likely to be sexually assaulted than those who don't. The price of a college education should not be that 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted.
Here's President Barack Obama.
Today we're taking another important step with a focus on our college campuses. It is estimated that 1 in 5 women on college campuses has been sexually assaulted during their time there. 1 in 5.
And here's Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal.
The reason why this issue is so urgent is that 1 in 5 women attending college are sexually assaulted. Only about 12% report.
Do you want your daughter to face a 1 in 5 chance of being raped? Of course not. So why take chances? Educate them safely at home with Reynolds Online University. Reynolds Online University, the university where nobody gets raped. Because your daughter matters.
We know the numbers. 1 in 5 of every one of those young women who's dropped off for that first day of school, before they finish school, will be assaulted in their college years.
Reynolds Online University, the one where nobody gets raped.